distance when you are talking to somebody. Keep distance so that you don't infect each other, and also remember to put on your mask, especially when in public, so that we control this novel pandemic known as corona. Having said that, today we are going to look at transport in animals. I had indicated earlier that we are going to look at ecology, but I've just been told that there is a colleague of mine who had already tackled that topic. So because of that, we'll just look at transport in animals, and specifically circulation in the mammalian heart. So when we are talking about circulation in the mammalian heart, we are talking about one of the organs that all of us have in our body. So we want to look at the anatomy of the heart. So when we are talking about anatomy of the heart, we are simply looking at something that somebody else has. For instance, if you are now studying the heart of somebody, you may be forced to study my own heart, or I will be forced to study your heart, because now you are looking at that heart directly. So when you are looking at my heart, because now you are facing me and I'm facing you, this one is my left side as I'm facing you, this is my right side as I'm facing you. So when I'm facing you, it is the opposite. So simply what we have to do is to write here, because I'm facing you like this. So this is the left side. Then this one here is the right side of the heart. So this is the left side of the heart, and this one is the right side of the heart. So even as we continue in engaging you in this topic, remember to send your questions on the number that is running below the screen, so that we continue to tackle those questions even as we continue with this particular lesson. Also, you can engage us on Facebook at KUTV Live, Elimu Live. So I've said this is the left side of the heart, this is the right side of the heart. So we want to look at the chambers that are associated with the heart as far as circulation of the blood is concerned. So the first chamber here, we'll just have a sketch. This one here. This one here, we have said this side is the left. So this chamber, or let me just draw it lower so that it doesn't occupy a lot of space. So this one here, this one here, this is what we call the left ventricle. This is what we call the left ventricle. And the other side, this one here, this one is what we refer to as the right ventricle. Remember, we are looking at the anatomy of the heart. So we are looking at specific chambers that are associated in the circulation of the blood. So this one is the left ventricle, this one is the right ventricle. Now something that you should note is that the left ventricle has thicker muscles as compared to the right ventricle, this one here. So the muscles of the left ventricle, this one, are thicker than the muscles at the right ventricle. The reason as to why the muscles of the left ventricle are thicker than the muscles in the right ventricle is because this side of the heart pumps blood to furthest parts of the body. So that's why we need a lot of pressure to contract so that the blood can be forced to the aorta and to the rest of the body. So basically this is the left ventricle. Also here in the left side we have another chamber. We have another chamber, this one here. This chamber here is known as the left atrium. This chamber here is known as the left atrium. So basically this is the chamber we are talking about. This one here is known as the left atrium. This one here, the left atrium. So what is unique about the left atrium is that this is the region whereby the heart receives blood, oxygenated blood from the lungs. So this is something that you ought to know. Remember, we are looking at the anatomy of the heart, and as I've said, when you are looking at the anatomy of something, you are looking at something that is not yours. So this is the left atrium. Here at the peak of the left atrium, we have what is known as the pulmonary vein. This one here, pulmonary vein brings blood from the lungs. Let us use the red to show that blood is coming in. Pulmonary vein brings blood all the way from the lungs into the left atrium, which is then pumped to the left ventricle. So this is the pulmonary vein. There are normally 4, but just for the illustration purposes, we are going to indicate it as 1. But as they come in, we have 4 of them. We have 2 that are here, and we have another one that comes in from here. So we normally have 4 of them. So basically that is the pulmonary vein, and that is its function, to bring in oxygenated blood all the way from the lungs to the heart, and specifically the left atrium. At the base here, we have valves. These valves are known as bicuspid valves, or also the mitral valve. The reason as to why they are known as bicuspid valve is because they have 2 flaps. By 2 flaps, I mean they open in such a manner. They have 2 flaps, so they open in this manner. This is the first flap, this is the second flap. So that's how they open. As blood comes in under high pressure, we are saying that these valves are going to open like this. So those are what we refer to as bicuspid valves or the mitral valves. Having said that, we have this region here. We are still working on the left side of the heart. So we have this region here. You'll just have to understand the whole thing here. So this is what we have. And this one comes like this. Yeah. So from this, we are going to the next thing, or the next part of the left side. This one here, this is what we refer to as the aorta, and this is the largest artery in the heart. The aorta carries oxygenated blood from the heart to all other parts of the body. So we are saying to the head, to the legs, to the arms, and all those other parts. So that is basically the function of the aorta. So blood is coming in from the pulmonary, from the lungs, through the pulmonary vein into the left atrium here. Because of the increased pressure here, blood is forced into the bicuspid valves. Then pressure is also generated here, because we have seen that this particular ventricle has thicker muscles. So a lot of pressure is generated here. Blood is then pushed. Let me use the red one to indicate the movement of blood. So blood is moved like this to the rest of the body. So specifically, this is what we are talking about as far as the left side of the heart is concerned. Now let us narrow down and look at now the right side of the heart. Just like the left side of the heart, the right side of the heart has the right ventricle. That is the right ventricle. That is the right ventricle. This one is the right atrium. This is the right atrium. This is the right atrium. Right ventricle, right atrium. Blood is coming in from the body, because now it is coming to the heart, so that it can be pumped to the lungs for purification. So this is where it comes from the body to the right atrium through the vena cava. I'll just indicate like this, so that now we are talking about blood that is not purified. So this one here is what we are referring to as the vena cava, and the vena cava branches into two like this. We have the upper one and the lower one. The upper is what we refer to as the superior vena cava, the superior vena cava, and the lower is the inferior vena cava. Now, the superior vena cava brings in blood into the heart from the upper side of the body. The inferior vena cava brings in blood from the lower side of the body into the right atrium. Now from the right atrium, this is what we have here. This is what we have here. Let me just join this one. I'll tell you the function of that. So from the right atrium, this is what we get. The blood is coming in from the superior and inferior vena cava into the right atrium to the right ventricle. The muscles of the right ventricle are thinner as compared to the muscles of the left ventricle. Now what normally happens, the reason as to why the muscles of the right ventricle are thinner than the muscles of the left ventricle is because this particular side of the heart is just pumping blood to the lungs. And you know, the lungs and the heart are just existing at the same place. So when we are assuming this is the heart, so we have the left lung here and the right lung here. So blood is just being pumped to the nearest region. So that's normally what normally happens. So that's what you ought to know. So blood is coming in into this section here. We also have valves at this particular point. These valves are known as tricuspid valves. These valves are known as tricuspid valves because they have three flaps. So they open in this way, but there is another flap. I have two arms, so I cannot illustrate, but you have to understand that they are three flaps. That's why we refer to them to this particular valves as tri meaning 3. We said bi meaning 2, tri meaning 3. So blood is coming in here into the right atrium, then it is pushed into the right ventricle. This right ventricle, now here, it opens into another vessel here. I think it will just allow me to erase this part so that I can be able to illustrate better. So that is how it is. Then I can just join this on here so that whatever I'm drawing can make sense. So that is how it is. So we are saying that now from here blood is going to move upwards in a reversed manner. So these are the valves, tricuspid valves. So from here we have another valves here. We also have another valves here. We've said this is the aorta. This is the aorta. So let me just join this one here. This is the aorta. So we have valves here and valves here. So what we are talking about here is that the tricuspid valves will open when the pressure inside the right atrium is high, so that the blood can come into the right ventricle. As blood arrives here, it is going to be pushed out of the heart into these valves. So these valves that are here, the ones that are connecting the right ventricle and this artery here, this is the pulmonary artery. This is the pulmonary artery. So these valves here, these ones here, are known as semilunar valves. So they are known as semilunar valves, semi meaning half and lunar meaning the moon. So they are known as semilunar valves because they resemble half a moon. So that's why they are referred to as semilunar valves. So when blood is pushed during diastole, we are saying that this blood is going to pass through these particular valves into the pulmonary artery. Now pulmonary artery is carrying blood to the lungs, whereby blood is going to be oxygenated. During oxygenation or after oxygenation, blood is going to come back into the heart through pulmonary vein. So the system through which blood is moving from the pulmonary artery to the lungs and back to the heart is known as pulmonary circulation. So you may be asked how we refer to that system, and we are saying that that particular system whereby blood is moving from the heart to the lungs and back to the heart is known as pulmonary circulation. We also have systematic circulation. That's where blood is moving from the heart through the aorta and to the rest of the body and back to the heart through the vena cava, that is both the superior and the inferior vena cava. So basically that is how the heart and its parts are situated, and that's their function. So having said that, we have to look at specific things here. This one is the semilunar valve. We have said it is connecting the pulmonary artery and the right ventricle. We also have another valve here. This one here, these are also the semilunar valves found between the aorta and the left ventricle. Now, something to note is that both the semilunar valves, the two of them, both of them have 3 flaps. However, the tricuspid valves are the ones that we recognize as having 3 flaps, but this is just but a point to note. The semilunar valves also have 3 flaps. Now let's look at this region here, the entire outside region of the heart. This one here. We are looking at the outside now of the heart. The heart is covered by a membrane, and this membrane is known as pericardium membrane. Pericardium membrane has specific functions or several functions. We are saying pericardium membrane has specific or several functions. So the functions of the pericardium membranes, one of them is that it produces pericardial fluid, and this pericardial fluid lubricates the heart to reduce its friction with other organs, and the organs we are talking about are the lungs. So this particular fluid is lubricating this heart so that it doesn't do what? It doesn't rub against other organs. So that's the function about of the pericardium membrane. It is also aligned. The second function, we are saying the pericardium membrane is also aligned with fatty tissues, and that is to ensure that the heart absorbs any shock that could arise. Say for instance, if you fall, we are saying the heart is going to do what? To absorb that shock because of the fatty layer that is covering the heart, and we are saying this at the outer side, that's the pericardium membrane. Those are just but 2 functions of the pericardium membrane. Inside the heart, and just to mention, peri means the perimeter, that means the outside. Inside the heart, we have another membrane, endocardium. Endo means inside. Now, the inside of the heart is covered by this particular membrane, and this membrane has what we refer to as interstitial cells. Interstitial cells. These cells have cilia, or they are ciliated. They are ciliated. We're saying they are on this side, the inside. So they are ciliated to ensure that the blood moves inside the heart without causing any turbulence. So within the heart, we are saying we have an endocardium, which is ciliated, or it has cilia, so that it ensures smooth flow of the blood. So that is basically what you are talking about. At this region here, we have already talked about the valves. However, you may ask yourself, why is it that when blood is coming in, maybe from the lungs to the heart, why is it that these valves cannot turn inside or inside out? So at this region here, we have what we call the tendons. These ones here, tendons. Tendons will stretch to ensure that these particular valves do not turn inside out. So when the blood comes in, we are saying that tendons are going to put the valves in position so that they cannot turn inside out in case blood tries to go back to where it was. And you have to notice that the main function of the valves is just to prevent the backflow of the blood. So in order for that to be successful, we are saying we need tendons to hold back the valves so that they do not flap inside in case blood tries to go back. But you may ask yourself another question, and where are these tendons attached now that they are within the heart? One thing you have to notice is that the heart itself has its own muscles. That's why it is known as myogenic. Myogenic meaning it can relax and contract using its own muscles. It does not require nerve stimulation for it to contract or relax. That's why when you, let me just say, when you kill an animal or you slaughter a chicken, you realize that the heart will continue to beat for some few hours. That's how it is possible to transplant the heart from, let us say, from one animal to another, because the heart can stay, when well kept, for like 72 hours without dying when it is well kept. So that is why it is easier to transplant the heart, because it has its own stimulation within its muscles. And we are saying that those particular muscles are what we refer to as myocardium. So the heart muscles are known as the myocardium or cardiac muscles. Cardiac meaning the heart. So we are at the tendons. We are saying that the tendons are ensuring that there is no flapping or overturning of the valves. However, what is ensuring that these tendons are well attached to the muscles of the heart? The tendons have muscles known as papillary muscles. Papillary muscles. These muscles ensures that tendons are attached to the muscles of the heart, so that they are not able, so that the valves are not able to overturn or to go back. So then, as we continue to discuss this, I'm expecting that you continue to bring in your questions and engage us on our social media, and the number that you have to send the questions just running down the screen. So please send in your questions so that we can tackle as we continue. So that is about the tendons. There is another part here of the heart, this one here. This part is known as septum. What is the function of the septum? We are saying the heart itself is pumping blood to the lungs. From the lungs, after purification, blood is brought in through the pulmonary vein. But we have two chambers of the heart, the left and the right. The left side of the heart has oxygenated blood. The right side of the heart has deoxygenated blood. So to ensure that this blood rich in oxygen does not mix with this blood that has impurities, there is a need of a chamber or a muscle to separate these two sides. So septum, specifically, its function is to separate the right side of the left side of the heart from the right side of the heart, so that the blood that has oxygen is not mixing with blood that has these impurities. So specifically, that is what you need to know as far as anatomy of the heart is concerned. Now we are talking about the aorta, and we have said that this is the largest artery in the heart. The aorta branches into several arteries. because it is supplying blood into different organs within the body. So we just want to look at those arteries within our body which branches from the aorta. The first artery, I think it will allow me now to do away with this diagram, hoping that we are now together. Let me do away with this sketch. So we're saying that the aorta, this one, branches into several arteries. The first artery we look at is the renal artery. Whenever we hear about renal, this is something to do with the kidney. So renal artery carries blood to the kidney, while the renal vein will carry blood away from the kidney. That is the blood that now has impurities away from the kidney. We also have another artery, what we refer to as hepatic artery. The hepatic artery carries blood to the liver, while the hepatic vein will carry blood away from the liver. We have what we refer to as mesenteric artery. This particular artery will carry blood to the gut, and this blood from the gut is carried into the kidney by another vein. Now the vein now is carrying the blood, mesenteric into the gut. From the gut is what we are calling hepatic portal vein. We have other arteries. Like the femoral artery, the artery that carries blood to our legs. We have also the iliac artery. The iliac artery carries or supplies blood to all parts of the body, that is the legs and any other place. That's the iliac artery. So we have some questions here. Question number one, somebody is asking, what are the adaptations of the heart to its functions? And he has indicated there the marks. The adaptations of the heart are the ones that I have just highlighted. If you ask this question, because it is normally brought in as an essay. So we have just mentioned specific things or areas where you need to tackle when you ask this question. For instance, we have talked about the left side of the heart having the left ventricle of the heart having muscles that are more thicker than the right side of the heart, and we have said that is to ensure that the blood is pushed to further sides of the body. So that is just part one. We have also talked about the pericardium membrane, specifically the pericardial fluid. We have also talked about the fatty layer of the pericardium, and we have said the fatty layer of the pericardium, its major function is just to absorb shock. We have also talked about is used to reduce or minimize the friction that may exist between the organs. So we are talking about the lungs and the heart. We have also talked about the vena cava, that is the inferior and the superior vena cava. And what we have said is that those particular vessels bring in blood from the rest of the body, that is deoxygenated blood or blood with impurities into the heart. Then we have talked about the valves. We have talked about the tricuspid valves. We have also talked about the semilunar valves. We have talked about the tricuspid, the bicuspid valves, or also known as the mitral valves. So when you ask such a question, those are the things that you need to outline as far as blood circulation is concerned. There is another question: why will carboxyhemoglobin lead to death? Now, we are saying that within the blood is carried in form of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is easily dissociated, but carboxyhemoglobin is a compound that is not dissociated, which is not easily dissociated, which means that when carboxyhemoglobin by bad luck enters your vessels, we are saying that it is going to deprive your vessels or your organs of the oxygen because it is not easily dissociated. So that may lead to death. So I think I've answered that question. Another question: hello, I'm Andrew from Balehai. If you ask, describe how the mammalian heart is structurally adapted to its function. I think I've just explained the anatomy of the heart, and that is basically the structure of the heart. So when you are asked to explain how the heart is adapted to its function, you have to, first of all, as a biologist, draw a sketch of that heart, then you name the parts, then it will be easier for you to explain this question. Another question: what is the function of the cardiac muscle? Now, I've said that cardiac muscles helps the heart to generate its own contractions and relaxations without any stimulations from the nerves. So when you are asked to explain the functions of the cardiac muscles, we have said the major function of the cardiac muscles is to aid the heart in relaxation and contraction when the heart is pumping blood. So that is what you ought to know. Another question: hi, I'm Faye from Enosim Girls. Please, I have not got the functions of the pericardium membrane. So pericardium membrane, I've said that one of the function is it produces the pericardial fluid, and that fluid lubricates the heart so that there is no friction between the heart and the other organs. The other function of the pericardium membrane, I've said, is it has a fatty layer which absorbs shock to ensure that the heart does not suffer from any shock that may arise, maybe if you fall. Another function that I had not maybe mentioned is about the elasticity of the heart. So the pericardium membrane ensures that the heart does not stretch beyond its limit when it is relaxing or contracting, just to push blood away from it. So that is another function of the pericardium membrane. It can stretch easily so that the heart does not stretch beyond its limit. So I think I've answered you. What's the role of the heart in human body? Rockstar from Kagongo, Gatanga. The major function of the heart, as I've said, is to pump blood. There is no any other function of the heart apart from pumping of blood. Another question. Hello sir, I'm Harvest from Nakuru Girls. What is the function of the semilunar valve? The semilunar valves ensures or controls the backflow of blood either from the aorta back to the left ventricle or from the pulmonary artery back to the right ventricle. So we are saying that what you ought to know that all valves, this is just something that you ought to know, all valves acts as a prevention of backflow of blood. So when you are asked, you just ought to know where the valves are located. For instance, if you are talking about the bicuspid valve or the mitral valve, we are saying it ensures that the blood does not flow back to the left auricle or atrium. When you're talking about the tricuspid valves, we are saying the blood, they ensure that the blood does not flow to the right atrium. Semilunar valves, we have the aortic and the pulmonary semilunar valves. So those ones also just prevents backflow of blood. Another question. Hi teacher, I'm asking from Jonjo, distinguish between systole and diastole. Okay. Now when you are talking about diastole, this is a phase in the heart when the heart is relaxing. We are saying that, I don't have that diagram, but I'll just elaborate so that you can get it. We are saying that when the ventricular muscles relax, the volume of each ventricle increase. So during that relaxation period of the heart, so that the blood can come in the ventricle, the muscles of the ventricle are relaxing, so that now the blood can come within that ventricle. Then that is now what we refer to as a diastole. However, when the ventricular muscles are contracting, so that there is an increased pressure within the ventricle, so that blood now is being pumped from the ventricles, let us say for instance from the left ventricle into the aorta. During that period, there is increased pressure within the left ventricle. So what we are saying is that blood is going to be pumped outside that ventricle because of that increased pressure. So as that one is happening, the volume within that ventricle is going to reduce. So when that phase is occurring, that's now what we call the systole phase. So systole phase is just the contraction of ventricular muscles so that blood can be pushed out of the heart. A point to note is that the atrium, both the left and the right, contract and relax at the same time. Also, the ventricles, both the right and the left ventricle, contract and relax at the same time. What I mean is that there is no way the right ventricle can contract while the left ventricle is relaxing. Blood flow within the heart is a systematic occurrence, so that when there is relaxation within the upper side of the heart, we are saying both the right and the left atrium are relaxing. When they are contracting at the same time. That means the blood coming within the heart, whether purified or with impurities, will come in at the same time, because relaxation and contractions occur at the same time, both at the upper side and the lower side. I mean, when the upper atrium is relaxing, upper left atrium is relaxing, the upper right atrium is also relaxing. when the lower ventricle is relaxing, the lower left ventricle is relaxing, the lower right ventricle is also relaxing. So that is a process that occurs simultaneously. Another question is here. Give 2 reasons why a transport system is necessary in higher animals. Now, why do we need a transport system in higher animals? Now, you ought to know that within our bodies, because we are higher animals, there are biochemical reactions that are occurring within our bodies. When these biochemical reactions are occurring, there is emission of waste products. Now, when we allow those waste products to accumulate within our body, they may be toxic. So that is the reason as to why we need an elaborate transport system, so that it can do away with any waste product. So that is the function number 1. Number 2 is that we need a transport system so that our organs can be supplied with nutrients or respiratory gases that we require, because we are respiring and we need oxygen. We need also to eliminate CO2, so that's why we need a transport system. Now there is another question. Good morning, I'm Washuka from Elimu. Please pardon, which is the process that blood flows to the lungs through the pulmonary artery and back to the heart through the pulmonary vein? We have said that that particular process is referred to as pulmonary circulation, because remember, the blood is just flowing from the heart to the lungs for oxygenation, then back to the heart through a pulmonary vein. Then now from there, that's when the blood is pumped to the rest of the body. So that is known as pulmonary circulation. And the second circulation that we have mentioned is systematic circulation. And systematic circulation, we have said, this is where blood is coming into the heart through the vena cavas, both the superior and the inferior. Then the blood is then leaving the heart to the rest of the body through the aorta. So we have 2 circulations within our body: pulmonary circulation and systematic circulation. Hi, I'm Samuel from Nyamira. Why is the left ventricle thicker than the right ventricle? We have said the left ventricle is thicker so that it can generate more pressure to pump blood to the aorta. And you know, aorta is supplying blood to the farthest points or the farthest organs of the heart. So they're saying that's why we need a more thicker muscle, so that the pressure generated can be higher to push blood to farthest points of the body. We have said that the right ventricle, the muscles are thin because it is only pumping blood to the pulmonary artery, which is just taking blood to the lungs. And we have said the left and the right lungs are just below or just subsequent to the heart. So the distance is small, so there is no need of muscles being thicker. Another question, morning, in Nakita from the Keke Girls, Kitale. Repeat the types of valves. Okay, we have said that basically the heart has 4 valves. We have said the bicuspid valve, the one that is found on the left side of the heart, that is between the left atrium and the left ventricle. So those hearts regulate the flow, the backflow, not regulate but prevent backflow of blood from the left ventricle to the right ventricle. Another valves is the semilunar valves. We have the aortic semilunar valves and pulmonary semilunar valves. Those ones prevent backflow of blood also to the ventricles. The fourth valve is what we refer to as the tricuspid valves, and we are saying they are referred to as tricuspid valves because they have 3 flaps. Those ones prevent backflow of blood to the right auricle, or what we call atrium, from the right ventricle. Another question is here. Hi. Okay, that one is for another day. Let me see what we have looked at. We are looking at kindly explain systematic and pulmonary system. I think that one I've explained. Okay. What is meant that? Okay, this is a high. What is meant that the heart is myogenic? I've said that the heart is myogenic means that it can generate its own pressure. It can generate its own pressure from its muscles. Those are what we call the cardiac muscles. So as we continue with this particular topic, or next time when we meet, we'll be looking specifically at the blood vessels, that is the capillaries, the veins, and the arteries. So for today, I think we have to stop there, and thank you for watching. Keep it KUTV.
And start acting like the man that you truly are.
Whatever your heart desires are, just say it.
Daddy, please stop pressuring me.
You are directly disrespecting my wishes. Why can't you just do one simple thing and help our family?
It's just that you never let me make my own choices, Daddy. It's entirely your fault. He was so mad at me.
Oh, my dear Nabi. You know, family is all about balancing what everyone wants.
Please don't text me. I need a break.
You need a break? What do you mean?
I can't see you ever again.
I've never seen such beauty.
And today's hero is tomorrow's fool.
Hello everyone, this is the new chapter of Let's Be Fit. I'll be host DiCaplo. I'm here to give you various workouts. I'll be having different trainers. We'll have Zumba classes, we'll have aerobics classes, we'll have box exercise, we'll have kata box, just name them.